Hello everyone, I'm 지영 아줌마. Today, I would like to tell you about Korean plant-based food. Since ancient times, Korean food has developed in a variety of ways, especially with plant-based ingredients. There are historical, social, and cultural reasons. Today's Korea is one of the industrialized countries. However, Korea has only been industrialized like this for only about 50 years. For thousands of years, Korea has been an agricultural society. Rice was the staple food of Koreans who settled in the land where farming was possible. Their staple food is steamed rice, which makes it easier to digest. Koreans called it bap. However, to eat only bap would have been boring and flat. So, Koreans have been making food with various plant-based ingredients that can be eaten with rice. It's called banchan. The concept of banchan is very different from the side dish that Westerners think of. Koreans think of the sum of bap and banchan as one food. Bap and vegetable banchan were like water and air to Koreans. Anyway, the fact that Korea has been an agricultural society for a very long time is an important background to the development of Korean plant-based food. Another thing, Korea is a country with 4 distinct seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. As a result, seasonal plants vary according to the season. Naturally, they must have devised a way to make a variety of delicious banchan with the fresh plants of the season. The number of vegetable side dishes in Korea is hard to count. It's not a lie to say there are hundreds or thousands. Besides, winter in Korea is quite harsh. It's not as cold as Northern Europe or Alaska, though. Anyway, Koreans had to endure the cold winter when plant materials were not available. So, they created a dish in which plant-based ingredients are stored and aged just before winter. The representative plant food is kimchi. Fermented and aged food is especially good for human health, so it's fantastic food. There are dozens of types of kimchi in Korea. The main ingredient of kimchi is Korean cabbage. Koreans usually eat kimchi after it has been aged, but sometimes they eat it without aging so that they can feel its freshness and natural vibrancy. Even if it is a dish made with the same ingredients, sometimes it is aged to enjoy the depth of flavor and sometimes the freshness itself. I think Koreans are genetically familiar with plant foods. Korea is a rapidly industrialized and developed country. In the process, it seems that the proportion of excessive meat consumption has increased in the diet of most Koreans. Anyway, I want to say that Korean food has more variety of plant-based food than any other country. I want to introduce you to the various plant-based food of Korea. Well, by the way, as with the variety, if the process of making the food is too complicated, it will be difficult to get acquainted with Korean plant-based food. However, fortunately, Korean cuisine is very well developed in seasoning to flavor it. The principle of making the seasoning is very simple. That said, it's easy to learn. I want to inform you about this part, so I'm going to prepare a separate video series to help you understand the principle of the seasoning combination. Korean seasonings are often based on fermented soybean paste and red pepper paste. Apparently, these are ingredients that have undergone fermentation and aging, so they have a deep taste. However, it would be too difficult for you to learn the fermentation process itself. Do not worry, because basic seasoning ingredients can be purchased anywhere in the world these days. I will teach you the various combinations and uses. And I'm actually at this point today. I'm not quite vegan yet. Of course, almost all of my diet is plant-based, but it's not perfect yet. In fact, there are many difficulties in becoming a perfect vegan while living in Korea. This could also be an excuse. Well, now, through this channel, step by step, I am trying to become a vegan that I'm not ashamed of myself. I want to share the process with you. Also, I feel like a lucky woman because there is a special person with me who has studied Korean vegetarian cuisine, royal cuisine, and temple cuisine for 50 years. She's like a real mother to me. This woman is a Korean chef named Grace Jung. She has been teaching me how to cook vegetarian food over the years. Actually, I'm a little sloppy, so I still have a lot to learn. What I've learned and what I will learn in the future, I'm going to tell you all about it. And now, along with food, I will gradually change my life and lifestyle to match the plant base. I will try to make my thoughts and body more harmonious with nature. I want to be more interested in the worldview that cares about animals and the environment. I also want to be a person who can have a positive influence on even just one person someday. First of all, I would be really happy if someone could see my story and my videos and try making Korean plant-based food at least once a week or even once a month. And should I talk about this? Why am I trying to be a more complete vegan? I love animals very much. It used to be, and even more so now. A few years ago, my business went bankrupt. Not only did I lose all of my money, but I also got into a lot of debt that I couldn't afford. At the time, I didn't know how to get through it. It felt like I was left alone in the world. My unbearable failure caused great disappointment to those close to me. As a result, I felt like I had no one to turn to. Failure is entirely my fault, so I don't feel like I have the right to depend on anyone. But I wanted to depend on someone. One day, while I was crying by myself, someone spoke to me. This was not put into words. Instead, it spoke with the eyes. Cheer up, you will do well again. I will support you. It was just one dog. Animals that can communicate so deeply with humans. Eating them, it has been very difficult for me since that day. It's a personal story. In the future, as I learn and imitate other vegan experience, I also want to empathize and learn things about a larger worldview. So, I want to get to know people who think like me. I actually want to make a lot of friends through this channel. This is just the beginning, so I know there will be few people interested in my story, but I'm going to start with the idea of going on a long trip. Today's story is too long. Now, I will end it here today. In the future, I will introduce many wonderful Korean plant-based dishes. See you next time. Bye!